Now, for the people out there that know me personally, if you know me, there's two things about me. There's two things that I'm passionate about, that I enjoy, that have always been my hobbies ever since I can remember. I can remember being 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. And I've always adored these two things, love them passionately: sports and geography. I'm an absolute sports fanatic. I'm a sports nut and a total geography dork, geography nerd. Well, this page here is dedicated to sports, and that's what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to talk specifically about a sport that I've been thinking about the past few months. It's a sport, for whatever reason, it's a team sport for whatever reason in the United States. It's not popular. It's not well known. There isn't much of a TV audience. You're not going to go on ESPN and find the local game, but it has so much potential. And I played it. I remember in elementary school, in gym class, I used to have fun playing it. And for some reason, it has like this stigma, this stereotype that it's not like a sport that males play. It's more of a female sport. And there's a reason for that. Even though that stigma is starting to change, and it should. I think, sports, both men and women can play whatever sport. You know what I mean? But anyway, this is a sport that I feel like if it really took off in the United States, if it really became popular in the United States, it would bring about a lot of money, it would generate a lot of income, bring about a lot of jobs. It would, help athletes that, didn't thrive or succeed in other sports, like per se basketball. Maybe, venture off into this sport here. It's a sport, it's an Olympic sport that the United States, both men and women, dominate. I wouldn't say dominate, but thrive in and excel in. And I feel as though it would bring about a lot of excitement. It would be a new thing, a lot of excitement, especially with a lot of different sports markets and metro areas that probably don't either have a professional team, or markets that don't have a lot of, sports success, like Phoenix, that ain't, won one sports championship in like 50 years or something like that. You know what I'm saying? The Diamondbacks back in 2000, I believe. This sport that I'm talking about is volleyball. Why isn't volleyball more popular in the United States? Now, as far as, it being played more by girls, like from high school level, college, or whatever, it's more popular among females. The reason for that, in a nutshell, is because of Title IX. If you know what Title IX is, it's basically a law that, that ensures that the same amount of, sports are being played amongst boys and girls in schools, as far as equality. So because American football is not, it's not widespread amongst girls, and only boys for the most part play football. You have to counter-react that with a different sport, and it just ended up being volleyball in a lot of states. That's why a lot of boys don't play volleyball, because it's simply not, it's just not available to boys in a lot of states. But it's a really popular sport in like Europe and other places, like, Latin America. The United States, wins a lot. They have a good team, a good squad. I don't really know much of the players, but, I've had, on a few occasions, I've had Uber passengers, on two separate occasions, these young boys, man, these little teenagers, from Framingham, Massachusetts, because I live in the area, these Brazilian kids that, that love volleyball, because, volleyball is one of the most popular sports in Brazil after, obviously, soccer, aka football. But one of them was putting me on. He was like, telling me like it's fast growing and stuff. And, there's a network, shout out to VNL, that's like basically the only access there is, as far as watching games. But I just want to know, why is it not popular? If you do the research, volleyball was actually invented by a gentleman. I can't think of the name off the top, but it was actually someone, he was connected to the founder of basketball, James Naismith. I believe it was a student of his or something, or I'd have to refresh my memory. but it was invented in, I believe, Holyoke, Massachusetts. Basketball was invented in Springfield, Massachusetts. So, for New England area, like, it should be something that's more talked about and more popular because, it was created, locally. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. When I played it in gym class a couple times, when I was a kid, like, I had fun playing it. I know my mom, when she was a kid, she played it. She was, really good at volleyball when she was younger. She's still young, young and beautiful. But anyway, I don't know. What do y'all think? What is y'all opinion as far as why volleyball isn't as popular, specifically men's volleyball? Like, there is a league. I don't know if it's even still around or if there's a season, because I know there was, like, last season was canceled. I believe it's called NVA, not NBA, but NVA, National Volleyball Association. But I don't know. They're not gaining traction. I'm not really hearing much. I'd like to, see them excel because, again, I love sports. I just like to see sports success. You can play volleyball in a basketball arena. It's similar. It's a similar sport. You already have 30 venues, basically. You just put them in NBA arenas, create a league, or do something about that league if it's still going on and help it grow. But, from the research I did do, it is, if not the fastest growing men's sport in, like, as far as youth sports, high school, college. So there's hope for the future. I would like to see that. I think it's a sport for everybody. It's one of the most popular sports in the world as far as, federations. Like, just about every country in the world, if I'm not mistaken, pretty much has their own sanctioned federation. So it's a popular Olympic sport, both men and women. But as far as, like, from a league standpoint, like I said, it would bring about different excitement for, like, different markets in the United States, like, let's say Birmingham or Richmond or Boise or Des Moines, Omaha, cities like that don't have professional teams. If they had a professional volleyball team, I think the local population would really get behind it because, they don't have any other sports to follow in a sense, as far as major league sports. But even other markets, like I said before, like Phoenix, that, don't win much championships in the other major sports, there's a chance right there to win, some championships or, to have some success. Again, it just brings about more money. I'm all about money. I'm a money guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm all about marketing, branding. Like I said, that's what this page is more dedicated about. But anyway, just something I wanted to kind of share with y'all. Like, what do y'all think? What is your opinion? Why isn't volleyball, more popular in the United States? Because, like I said, it's popular in other places, in, like, Latin America and Europe, stuff like that. But it should be more popular. And do you think that there is hope? Like, I know as far as women's volleyball, they have a few pro leagues. They have a little bit of success. They're doing their thing. Shout out to them. Professional volleyball league. I can't think of the name, but I know they're doing their thing. I apologize. I can't think off the top, but they're doing their thing as far as the ladies. But, hopefully the gentlemen, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully the fellas can get that same level of success, and hopefully, this country can have another league, another sport to really follow and get behind and to talk about sometime in the near future. Anyway, like I said, hopefully the NVA, National Volleyball Association, the men's league, hopefully they can find some success sometime in the future. I don't know what's the deal with them, what's going on with them. But anyway, just some of my thoughts that I wanted to share. Miguel Talk Sports. What do y'all think?